Hey there, I'm Lisa. My story involves leaving my home country of the United States not once but twice, and I've been in England for over 20 years now. I really have no regrets. But first, some context. I can see the interest in leaving rising. So, in this video, I'm going to share my answers to the questions I get asked all the time, mostly by Brits. Why did I leave? Why did I choose England? And would I be going back? What are these reasons? There are a few aspects of US culture that aren't for me. First one, carrying guns. I grew up in a rural area, so I understand there is a need with situations involving livestock or wild animals. But it's the intent to shoot human beings that I just don't understand. So, moving on. I was really fearful of the US healthcare system. I was fearful of the cost and the complexity. I was also really fearful of the fact that my healthcare was tied to my job. Because in my 20s, I had a situation where I had to go to the emergency room and I found out that I wasn't covered on insurance. It was awful. And it took me years to pay it off. I can't face that again. Here in England, you just rock up to one of your local surgeries and register. And then after that, you can just make an appointment. This is kind of a weird one, but before I knew I was autistic and had ADHD, I couldn't quite figure out who I was. The gold standard of a personality is very perky and upbeat and like I'm a happy person. I just have resting bitch face. And in England, I could just not worry about that sort of thing. I felt like I was myself and it wasn't a big deal. The other major one is that there's this dependency on a car in the United States. Like I've always struggled with driving. My friends were making fun of my slow reflexes. But I know now it's because of dyspraxia, which is very common in people who are neurodivergent. So there's that. Another reason was that I was just simply bored of the California weather. It was sunny a lot. I know I don't quite believe that now, but that's how I felt at the time. The question I get asked the most is, how did I end up in England? And the answer is pretty straightforward. I was living in California. I was keen to leave California, and I met someone. We decided to get married. And because he was an EU citizen, it was going to be easier to move to the UK than anywhere else in the United States. So we did. Usually the next question is that, well, why England? Well, okay, I have some good reasons. Depending on who's asking, I might not give them all of the reasons, but I'll give them to you. First of all, I was an Anglophile. Ever since I was a preteen, I went into that mad horse phase. And I was fortunate enough I did get to ride, but I was living in Western United States, which is primarily Western style of riding, and I was obsessed with English style riding. I think a lot of that influence was due to the fact that I was reading books that were set either in England or on the East Coast. And I guess I was just drawn to that. I was fortunate enough to visit the UK a few times before I made the decision to live there. So or here. I'm here now. And so that made it easier. I love the UK culture. I love the pubs. I love the history. I love that in England you're allowed to look average. They even let people on TV, they let women on TV who don't meet this like impossible beauty standard exist, and it's not a big deal. It really annoys me when Americans make fun of the bad British teeth. It's not that the teeth are bad, their teeth are healthy here. They're just not straight. It's just not important to spend tons of money to straighten teeth. That attitude is slowly shifting. I see more people with the Invisalign or having teeth whitening done, but it's certainly not something that we're all aiming for. Another major reason I chose the UK, I get paid vacation to the tune of 25 days a year as an average full-time employee, which is pretty incredible. And if any Americans ask, I can always just offer that as a reason. I can spend more time on vacation in your country than you can. The other one, of course, is the travel opportunities. England is really close to Europe, and in fact, London is very well connected. It's just pretty easy to get around. In fact, the first couple years I was in England, I was probably traveling every couple months, doing a long weekend here and there in various European capital cities, which was really good fun. The reason I moved back to the US after 10 years in England was that 8 out of 9 summers were really disappointing. I'm talking chilly, damp, gray. However, I can confidently say that's no longer the case thanks to climate change. It's definitely hotter during summer here, and so much so that it's It's tricky. It's almost dangerous because a lot of homes don't have air conditioning and the houses and buildings are constructed to retain heat. So it becomes pretty unpleasant, but anyway, we're dealing with it. I just didn't feel like I was going to be able to have a good quality of life, and I couldn't have a cat when I was renting. So, and I was missing the UK culture. I was missing the sense of humor, that feeling of safety. There's no gun. People don't carry guns here. Obviously, farmers have guns for very specific reasons, but or you could do sport shooting or something like that. But there's not this culture of carrying a gun around. If you've lived abroad or if you're considering living abroad, which of my reasons for leaving resonate most with you? Share your thoughts in the comments. Then I get asked if I'm moving back. Actually, my family used to ask when I was moving back all the time, but they've stopped now. After 15 years, they finally stopped. And the answer is that no, I probably won't move back. I'm really settled here. I won't move back for all the reasons I mentioned. I don't have any regrets other than maybe I should have been more organized around taxes. I'm pretty happy with the fact that the public transportation here is pretty good. It's not amazing. It can be disorganized, but I just love the fact that I don't have to drive here. I can drive in other places that have wider roads. Hello, USA. But here the roads are pretty narrow, and it's just not something I can do just yet. I mean, I haven't totally given up. I've taken driving lessons, but hey. I do think it's sad how divided the US has become, and I think it's really sad how people reject facts and science because it doesn't align with their worldviews. I'm pretty disappointed in this version of the United States. My overall message to you is if you want to move abroad or slow travel abroad, I say go for it. Definitely go visit the place ahead of time if you can. I've seen this pattern with other expats when they leave the United States. They expect their place they're going to be very similar to the United States. And it's really not. There's going to be things that are slower. There's going to be less focus on customer service. That's just a fact, unless you're on a cruise ship. I don't want to minimize the difficulty of moving to and from countries. It's a lot physically, mentally, and emotionally. There's a lot of guilt when it comes to leaving friends and family behind. And of course, the difficulty comes is when you're quite far away and you have, say, limited time off to explore. You don't necessarily want to be spending all of your time going back to the US. The easiest way to move abroad is if you're just going to do slow travel and stay as long as you want within a country, up to the allowance of the visitor visa. Otherwise, becoming a student is a very valid way to get residency in a country. So there's choices. It's just really going to depend on your individual circumstances and where you want to go. For me personally, I've been slow traveling for nearly 2 years now, and it's going great. I do a lot of house sitting. I'm a fully fledged cat lady, and that's primarily how I can afford this lifestyle. If you're still watching, I'd love it if you'd hit like and subscribe to help my channel grow. I appreciate it. YouTube thinks you should watch this one next.